What about you guys? What do you struggle with the most when it comes to believing and practicing your Catholic faith?
Well, I think what Manny said was right. Like, in today's society, all the media and like the culture isn't really focused on Catholicism. And so I think it's hard to continue practicing our faith while we're having all these negative influences on ourselves.
My biggest struggle with the faith is seeing good things happening to bad people and bad things happening to good people. Like, when that happens, like, I always wonder, God, why?
Something I struggle with in my faith is when someone close to you dies and you kind of wonder why them, they were such a good person. And it's hard to still have your faith in God because you're wondering why he would take someone so great away. It's something I struggle with a lot, but I think I'm usually able to overcome it because my faith is strong.
And also not only when someone dies, but like the little things, like if someone gets hurt or like someone's parents get divorced, stuff like that is really hard on people. And you wonder, like, what have they done, or why is God doing that? And sometimes that's really hard to deal with, but that can, I guess, also make you stronger in a way, knowing that you can overcome these situations and God is there to help you.
In Hebrews chapter 11, we read that
to have faith is to be sure of things we hope for,
to be certain of things we cannot see.
What does it take in today's world to be strong in our faith?
That's exactly what we ask the teens on the street.
Let's check it out.
How do you keep your faith strong?
I go to church on Sundays with my family, and I pray every night before I go to bed, and I tell God all my problems.
I pray.
By praying. I go to church with my mom, and I also pray, and I also have faith tattooed on my wrist.
I keep my faith strong by being an active member of my community and being at church every morning or every Sunday morning.
I keep my faith strong by going to church, listen, reading the Bible.
I go to church a lot and I pray. I go to a Catholic school.
Has your faith ever been challenged by others who don't believe the way you do?
At some point, yes, but then again, I come back down to earth and I believe, hey, guess what? I've been believing in this the rest of my life. Why would I get someone to change that?
Yeah, a lot, but I believe in God.
I don't think my faith has been challenged by anybody.
I actually go to an all-girls Catholic school, and there are some girls at the school that are like atheists and don't believe in God. And I mean, it's their own choice, it's whatever they believe in, but as long as they don't discriminate against me or are negative towards me about it.
Faith has always been challenged by my friends that are atheists.
Not at all. I mean, I have friends of many different ethnicities and believe in many different religions, but I stay strong with what I believe in, and I believe in God, and that's good enough for me.
Have I ever been challenged by someone around me? No. I think I'd be someone to challenge someone else.
Oh yeah, people, they just say that, they don't believe in God, there is no God.
Nobody's really challenged me, other people disagree.
If you believe in God, you should be allowed to say it and not be afraid of what other people think.
Of course, praying and communication with God will help to strengthen our faith life.
Also, getting more involved in your church community, especially your church youth group, if your church has one.
Reading the Bible and other Christian and Catholic writings can also help to build a strong faith life and belief.
So, how do you keep your faith strong?
And has your belief ever been challenged by others?
I know one way I keep my faith strong, like you were mentioning, was by participating in my youth group, but also through participating at Mass on Sundays, because I lecture at my church, and that actually really helps me get more in touch with Scripture, and I feel that really builds a good foundation for my faith.
As far as being challenged, my father isn't Catholic, and really when it comes to talking to religion, sometimes my father and I don't always see eye to eye, but I've learned to embrace that I'm Catholic and I am comfortable with that, even though my father doesn't believe the same things I do.
One of my friends, she struggles with religion. She doesn't really believe in anything. So we talk about religion a lot, and by doing that just helps me reflect on my own beliefs more, and it helps me grow. And also by staying involved in community service in my church. Also, I run a Christian school club at my high school, my public high school, which is also really cool because it gets all of the Christians together, and like we all practice the same thing and believe and talk about it, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think staying strong as a community, I think that helps you in the long run, with church, whether it be like Mass every Sunday, youth group. I think that's important.
I go to a Catholic school, but a lot of my friends are actually atheists or agnostic. And when they first met me, they didn't realize how like faithful I was. And when I started talking to them, they were like, "You're really Catholic, are you?" I was like, "Yeah." And at first, it would put us a little bit on edge, but then we started talking, and it kind of helps me grow in faith, because then they ask questions, because they're kind of curious. They don't believe the same things, but they do have questions, like things that they were never quite explained clearly. And it's really interesting that they look up to me like to answer those questions at times.
There's this one kid that I know, and he's atheist. He tends to challenge not just Catholicism, but pretty much every faith. And it's hard to have to hear him put down my faith and what I believe, but I feel like I'm strong enough that no matter what he says, I still believe what I believe, and I'm able to overcome the doubt.
One of the main ways that I keep my faith strong is with, especially with the Real Faith program, with this TV show, this, coming here, talking about God with fellow teenagers to understand that faith is still around is important for me, and it keeps me strong in my faith. And when I go home to my family, I have an interfaith family, we're all Christians, but it's different denominations. And my grandparents and my mother and father admire the way that I speak about religion and admire the things that I have learned over the last 13 years of Catholic school and through Real Faith and things like that. And they appreciate, they don't necessarily challenge, but they, like Phil, they seek out what I know, and we share and we learn from each other.
Next, let's go back to our interview with Manny and find out what inspires and strengthens him in his faith.
And how an experience at the National Catholic Youth Conference really opened up his eyes about his faith.
I think the number one thing that inspires me in my faith is probably just seeing kids and like them developing their own faith, like not just believing what just people tell them to, but them actually exploring their own faith, that they have their own opinion, they have their own questions about faith. It took like a trip, the National Catholic Youth Conference, for me to really open up my eyes about my faith. There was a moment where there was a stadium of teenagers just all around, and it was dark, and there was this guy, Tony Melendez. He didn't have arms, but he played the guitar. It was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced. And all around on the stadium, people had out their cell phones, and you could just see all around, it looked like stars were in the stadium, and he was just playing beautiful music without arms. How do you play guitar without arms? That moment when I just looked around, I knew there had to be a God. Everybody was feeling the same thing, I think, that I felt, so.
Hopefully we all, at some point in our life, have at least one of these kind of God moments, a time when you really feel that God is real.
Next, we asked the teens on the street if they've ever had any inspiring moments like this.
We also asked them who in their life has inspired them in their faith.
Let's check it out.
I felt the presence of God when we had a ceremony for my friend that passed away. We all bowed our head for a moment of silence, and I think we all felt like there was a presence there with us.
After I got my CAT scan, I cried that out because I was okay. I knew that he was on my side there.
My brother has severe diabetes, and he had to almost get his leg amputated, and at the last minute they said that they would be able to get him on medication to save him so he didn't have to get his leg cut off.
My grandma died. I know that God helped me get through that moment, which was very tough.
Well, when I pray a lot, I kind of feel like he's actually with me.
Tell me about someone who has inspired you in your faith and helped you in your struggle to believe.
My dad. My dad is a big, big, big God believer.
My mother, she told me pray at night and pray whenever I'm struggling and things is hard.
My stepdad is really the one who really made me believe in God and really talks about it with our family and stuff.
My mom, most definitely. She has inspired me throughout my whole entire life with different prayers.
The little bit of faith I have is from my priest, so I would say him.
My friend Sammy has, because I didn't go to church a lot, but ever since I became friends with her, I go every time I sleep over her house on Sunday morning.
My mother, she told me that, no matter what happens, God will love me, she'll love me.
My grandma, because she's the only one in my family who really goes to church and stuff every weekend, and I've never seen someone who's had enough good in her life like she has.
My grandma, because she's just really religious.
My grandmother that I mentioned before, I remember when I was little, when I'd be over there, sometimes we'd do the rosary on TV together. It's really stuck with me.
My mom and my grandma, always, every day. They say you pray and every day gets better.